Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero. Today we have an amazing duo of guests. Chef Tony Maddog Maggert had a story that went viral on social media not long ago. Now, he's a veteran who served in the Marines, the Air Force, and the Army for a total of 23 years. He lost his leg when he was working in Afghanistan as a civilian contractor, and now he's a chef who cooks with a ton of charisma and delivers with a fantastic sense of humor. But that's not even what brought him the country's attention. He pulled over to help a stranded motorist, and that motorist happened to be Colin Powell. They were both on their way to appointments at Walter Reed. Anyway, now that the light's been shined on him, we all got to see why we ought to pay attention to him. He's now got a YouTube channel where he mixes food and history and humor, and you should check it out. We also have Chef Otto Borsich today. He's an alum of the show and a friend, and we love him. He's also a veteran. He's been a competitor on Top Chef, and he was an instructor at the Culinary Institute of America. He cooks his ass off, and he introduced us to the concept of the gastrogasm. So now who doesn't want to be fed by Chef Otto? He's also got a book out called A Chef is Born, in which he dedicates each chapter to a person or an event that shaped his life and his cooking, features the recipe that was crucial to that formative culinary experience, and includes a related bit of wisdom by some historical figure and a related verse from the Bible. I can't say enough about how much affection I have for Chef Otto. He's just a great guy and an inspiring dude. You're going to love them both. Here are Chef Tony Maddog Maggert and Chef Otto Borsich.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay
This
Moore.
is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is
East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Morata.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hey, this is Chef Otto, author of the newly released cookbook memoir, A Chef is Born, live on the Break It Down show with Pete Turner and Mad Dog.
And now, the Break It Down show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Yeah, Mad Dog's co-hosting with me, so this is fun. Mad Dog, by the way, you're going to hear some background when he's talking because he's actually like a good chef out there trying out ribs. He's in Huntsville, Alabama at Dreamland, and if you guys know anything, you know we love ribs, so I'll let Mad Dog go in a second. But first, Otto, you've been on the show before, and it was awesome. We had Chef Pernot on the show with you, and he was great. But this time you're on because you've written a book, A Chef is Born, and it's fantastic. It's short. You tell these tales about your grandma, about your dad, all these different people from your life, and then you have a recipe associated with them. So maybe it's, you know, your great-grandpappy's crullers or something like that. But I loved it, man. I really enjoyed it. It was bite-sized, like any good meal should be. It was like I was able to read it and go, huh, and then think about those flavors and then what it meant to me and my grandma. And I love the concept for this. How did you come up with that?
Well, first of all, I'm glad you liked it. It's pleasing to hear that. It's pleasing to my palate, if you will. It just came to me. I actually sort of, when I began the outline of the book, I kind of, you know, went at it as a chef. Okay, here's my ingredients, and here's how I'm going to build this recipe. So I just took an idea called A Chef is Born because I was born to do this. And I just started reverse engineering, if you will. I went back to day one of my birth, which you know about because I almost died. It's in the book. And I go from there. And, yeah, I had an interesting background. I grew up in Ohio in the Midwest in the 60s and 70s in a middle-class family and had immigrant parents from Budapest and Italy. So great food cultures. So that really added a lot of value to the book, if you will. And I was kind of a mischievous lad, if you will, and I got into a few things here and there that were humorous and helped shape me. And talk about my first restaurant job at McGarvey's in my hometown, and Eddie Salmon, who was influential in my career. So the book, the title is a bit, how should I say, misleading. A Chef is Born. It's not about being a chef at all. It's about the birth of a person who was born to be a chef and how he took that trajectory to get to where he is today.
Yeah, that's it's super interesting. So you say Budapest is more on the Buddha or the Pest side?
They're right in the middle.
The food scene is great there. Dude,
yeah.
phenomenal food. So what inspired you to like get into doing the culinary thing?
Mad Dog again. I revert back to the title. A Chef is Born. This life I have, it was predetermined. And I talk about that in the book. What 5-year-old kid growing up in Ohio in the 60s decides he's going to become a chef? As I like to say, chefs were like ghosts. You knew what they were, but you never saw them. I grew up in a food-rich ethnic background, and I grew up in a large family myself, with 6 kids in my family. There was always leftovers. If we had white rice, for example, for dinner on Monday, Tuesday I made fried rice. So I was always tinkering around in the kitchen with food, and I just knew I was going to do this.
So you cook throughout the book, and one of the things you talk about is this Mother's Day is probably going to be just past when this show comes out. But you talk about lemon meringue pie and how it was your mom's favorite. Do you still make lemon meringue pie for your mom, even though she's not with us anymore?
I have made lemon meringue pie at Coon's age. Myself, I love a good lemon tart without the meringue.
Okay.
But no, I haven't made that recipe in ages.
So when it comes to doing your meringue, are you whipping your own meringues up?
Well, yeah. When I make meringue, I do use it straight from egg whites.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, nothing like a true meringue.
Otto, Mad Dog also obviously is a chef, and he has different inspirations. Can you talk a little bit about how you got going, Mad Dog? I mean, obviously you had the military. Mad Dog managed to put himself in the Air Force, the Marines, and the Army. So he's the ultimate veteran. But when you made the leap, Otto's born to be a chef. When did you know that, like, I have to do this?
Yeah, my experience the first day in the hospital was very boring comparatively. I had no clue what the future is going to hold, But when I got flesh-eating bacteria, I just started to think more about how can you not get sick. And so food sort of was the answer to that. And my mother was one of the worst cooks out there. So I started thinking, man, I could take on this thing and just start doing some of the cooking myself. So that's sort of what I did. So you use food as a vehicle.
You had a flesh-eating disease or disorder?
Yeah, flesh-eating bacteria. Mm-hmm.
When did that happen? How old were you when that happened?
2011. That was Afghanistan, my first tour over there. So,
wow.
Yep. I got flesh-eating bacteria, had a weird mission that we were doing or whatever, and just sort of things happened the way that they did. So, brought it off. I stayed on active duty, kept going at it.
As you guys look at cooking, and there's so much fusion nowadays. One of my favorite new things is the sushi-rito. I just love that stuff.
I'm sorry, your favorite thing is what?
I love a sushi-rito. It's a burrito and sushi mixed together. So there'll be sashimi inside the burrito. And I just love these things. Do you guys, how do you, I guess I'll ask you first, Otto, how do you characterize how you experiment with fusion? I mean, I'm looking at your apple spice cake. It's all straightforward, nutmeg, allspice, cinnamon, apples. All those things are standard, but I know that, especially for you, you've got a flair to try new things.
That's a great question, and inspiration comes from a lot of places. And it's funny you talk about the sushi Rito. I had one recently in Atlanta, and I went to this place, and yeah, it's a burrito and sushi wrapped up into one, and what an interesting concept that is. Food, like fashion, like music, like any creative endeavor, this involves individuals to take what is the tried and true, if you will, and to somehow take that and reshape it into something new and exciting and different. Because let's face it, there's only so many cooking techniques: broiling, cooking, sauteing, braising, stewing. How many ways can you cook a flippin' chicken? Well, but ultimately what I'm trying to say to you, Pete, is that in order to give that twist, to put your autograph on it, you need to know the basics. And when I taught culinary school, I preach this to the kids, because these kids today, they're watching Emerald or they're watching Bobby Flay or whoever on television, and they see this really cool dish and they want to make it. But they have no idea that potato came from a farmer in Idaho, and it was picked and washed and scrubbed and put in a box and shipped to somewhere, miles away from them. They don't know about the raw ingredients. They don't know about the techniques involved to master the methods to become a chef. Like I always told these students, when Jimi Hendrix played the Star Spangled Banner at Woodstock, he played Mary Had a Little Lamb 1,000 times before that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Practice the technique. Then you can get creative and innovative and do what you want. But you got to know knife skills and the basic cooking techniques before you do anything else.
Hey, Mad Dog, when you look at experimentation and you're newer to the chef game, how do you sort out like, yeah, there's only so many ways to cook a chicken. You can fricassee, you can, flambe, whatever. I'm not the chef, you guys are, but when you when you start to experiment,
I think that there are a million ways that you could do it. Like where you're like, oh, I just have a chicken. So I agree with Otto. There's only so many techniques that are out there. There's dry techniques and there's wet food techniques. And of the dry, what can I do? Of the wet, can I do? But I think today, I'm really into this molecular gastronomy thing. People are stretching the limits on what you can do. But when I hear a guy like Otto talk, man, these are the guys that are like, they're from the earth and they realize and they think about their childhood and they go, oh, I can take this food that I had and I can reinvent my leftovers. And there's really something to say for that. My hope is that more people in America would go, hey, I'm going to start cooking more for myself. I'm going to get better utilization out of my foods. Yeah, all I got is chicken, but how can I cook this chicken? How can I make this chicken last? Why are people not buying whole chickens and going online and watching a YouTube video on how to fabricate a chicken? My wife goes and she tries to buy these chicken tenders, and I'm like, or they call them chicken tenderloins. Chickens don't have tenderloins, and it's really nothing more than the breast, so it's a huge waste. Learn how to fabricate that animal, and your money's going to go a long way. You're teaching your family something. So, there's really kind of like a grassroots effort that really needs to happen. But, in every city in the U.S., they have these restaurants that are like you just go to, and they'll just like hand you the food if you hand them money. So, folks got to really learn how to cook. That's really the thing that I'm doing, is I want to continue to put more videos together out there to be like, hey, this is how you cook when you're at home. It's not that difficult. So, take the ingredients that you've got and make stuff happen. I think that's probably one of the most fun things I like doing is showing up at a friend's house and they just open the refrigerator and you're like, we got to figure this out, man. Let's do it, And so just like Otto said, you go, okay, I got this arsenal of some little techniques and stuff, and this is what I'm going to do. And you you make a plan, and you go with that plan. And if it sucks, you hope you have a phone number so you can call the pizza guy. That's it. It's easy.
You call the pizza guy as a backup. Yeah, so Otto,
that's your backup, man. That's your plan B,
Yeah, the pizza is the plan
Or go for the ramen.
So, but there are some things, and look, you guys are chefs, so you want to make everything yourself. But a guy like me who cooks, sure, I can make my own yogurt, but I don't got the time for that. It's not, matter of fact, it's probably more expensive for me to make
You do have the time to make your own yogurt, man. That's one of the biggest misconceptions.
All
if
right.
you ever starting to do stuff like sous vide, you could be like, oh, I can make my own yogurt at home now. And I can make my own cheeses at home. I can make everything that I want. I can make it at home. What do you think we did 150 years ago? You couldn't go to a place and buy food. You had to make it.
Otto?
It's out there.
Yes.
Go ahead. Expand on that, please.
Yeah, sure. Mad Dog touched on the molecular gastronomy and it's great, and it's the evolution of cuisine. And these guys are like mad scientists, and but at the end of the day, if you look at those chefs, and I'm talking the entire population around the world who are successful with that, who have their 1 and 2 and 3 star Michelin restaurants, there aren't very many. It's not a very crowded field of these molecular gastronomy chefs who are doing that well. And at the end of the day, what needs to be done is, again, I'm preaching fundamentals.
Right.
So here's something that a lot of chefs have a problem with. And the problem is really not on the chefs, it's on the other people. And those other people, they will never ask chefs over to their house for dinner. They are freaked out about cooking for a chef. Okay. And the ones who are brave enough, if you will, who do, say they'll pull out some complex recipe from Thomas Keller's French Laundry Cookbook or something else,
right,
and try and make this thing to impress me because that's what I want because I'm a chef.
Uh-huh.
And nothing could be further from the truth, Pete, because you know what I want when I go to your house, man? I want what you make the best. You make your grandmother's sauerbraten or your dad's barbecued ribs or your Aunt Jenny's fried catfish or whatever it can be. Because why? Because you were raised on that. You ate that. You can cook that in your sleep. So for all the people out there and who are listening, if you have a chef friend, invite them over and cook what you know how to do. And I promise you, they will love it.
So when you're out there and you get someone to cook for you, what's a meal that just blew you away that just hasn't stuck in your repertoire where you're like, I love it, but I just have never come back to it? Like if you came to my house, I would make you Moroccan chicken with the melon relish and an appropriate cocktail to go with it. Like there's a tea that I make. So, but that doesn't mean you're going to make that for anybody else ever. Are there dishes where you're like, oh, I wish I just never, it just didn't stick?
And I love Moroccan food. It's one of my favorite cuisines. I love Moroccan food.
So let's say that I made something that you loved, but it's just not in your wheelhouse flavor wise. And you just, for whatever reason, have never come back to it. Has someone ever wowed you where you're like, man, I really, I should have, this pressed chicken I have was wonderful. And I've always wanted to make it, but just never got back to it. Like what stood out that hasn't made it into your repertoire?
Well, that's an interesting question because if it stood out that much, I would have snagged it and put the outer spin on it.
All right.
My interpretation, off the top of my head, I just can't think of anything. But, I have an open mind. Back in the day when I was, young buck cutting my teeth and, becoming a chef and, hey, I would save money to go to a Michelin restaurant or a highly ranked restaurant and eat that food and be wowed. You know what? It's got to really be a full-on experience like the French Laundry or what have you for me to do that these days. Now, hey, I go to mom and pop joints, Thai place up the street serves great Thai food, a little Vietnamese place, a barbecue joint. I really do love a hole in the walls. And you know what? You never know. You might find something inspirational from a hole in the wall.
And same question to you, Mad Dog. When people cook for you, what do you want to have from them and what has stood out?
Oh, I don't want to sound like I'm riding on Otto's coattails, but I'm the exact same way. I want to know where you came from. When I'm in Africa, I want to have your food. When I'm in your country, I want to have your food, and I don't want to have any preconceived notions on what I think that thing is going to be like. I just want to go for it. Some things I'd probably pass on, like eating chicken brains in Beijing. Might pass on that next time, or have more liquor. Who knows? But you have some things that just transport you, and I think really that's what it's all about, is making food that you have an emotional connection to. Who cares if I went to culinary school? Sometimes there's nothing better in the entire world than a fried bologna sandwich.
That is true. Yeah. One of the guys that co-hosts a lot is Scott Husing. He's an author, also a veteran, and he's got this great story where he and Coolio, who's got a cookbook and is also a veteran, he and Coolio had bologna sandwiches at a ski resort. Coolio's like, come on, let's go get some chow. And his chow was bologna. But what's better than that right there? You're tailgating as you're skiing. You're not spending $15 on a half-ass sandwich. You're having a sandwich with Coolio. How cool is that?
That is cool, bro. I didn't know Coolio was a veteran either. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I could be wrong on that, but I believe that he was. I do think.
Yeah, just go with it. We already said it, so.
Too late. Got to live with it now. Yeah. So Otto, when in terms of the book, which by the way, again, I read it and I think it's awesome. If you guys buy the book, buy it on Amazon because it'll rank higher. Rate it, review it. These are the big things that help. Same thing with all of Mad Dog's videos on his channel. You rate and review. That really is where the difference is. Just leave a comment, and that helps get it higher in the search. That's how you support these guys, apart from buying the book and that kind of thing. Otto, you the last time we talked, you were working on a couple of different job options that you were going to maybe move into. What are you doing for your day-to-day job right now?
I'm doing webinars, podcasts.
Nice. Selling books.
I didn't send you my fee, Pete. No. So first and foremost, I moved from Texas 2 years ago to South Carolina to be here with my 91-year-old father, and I'm taking care of him.
Good.
So the grind of the restaurant has gone by the wayside for right now. Because that is not giving me the time that I need to take care of my father. So basically, what I'm doing now is I'm doing freelance chef gigs. I'm doing pop-up dinners. I also work for my church. They have a large. I couldn't even tell you how many square foot, but it's a $5 million event center. Mm-hmm. Where they host concerts, they host meet like Boeing will meet there, or Volvo, or Mercedes-Benz. They'll have quarterly meetings or whatever. They'll do a Mother's Day brunch, if you will. So I help with that. At this stage of my life, I'm not out there trying to, make a name for myself or get my name in papers because I'm such a fantastic chef and, isn't this menu great? My focus is taking care of my father first and foremost, and working in a restaurant does not provide that work-life balance that's needed at this time.
Yeah, I hear you. What about you, Mad Dog?
Still writing contracts for the government, trying to figure out how to stop doing this so I can do something more relevant in the kitchen that's more fun. I mean, you sort of get yourself into a career and you're doing it for a long time. You just know how to do the job. So,
yeah,
it provides extra capital. And so I'm sort of like planning now. Like, what's the future supposed to hold? No clue.
Right. I mean, but do you see yourself
if
as...
you guys find out, let me know.
Right? Well, look, if you're looking for the guys that have a clue, it's certainly not me, man. I didn't join 3 different services, but I've had several different careers. I mean, podcaster, spy, come on. I'm not even supposed to be alive.
Yeah.
But when you do look at what you might think your path is, though, Mad Dog, I mean, obviously the videos are one thing, but do you, like Otto said, you don't have to have a restaurant anymore. Hell, you can have a truck, and I know you like to ramble. Do you just go around and just do the food truck thing indefinitely and just go live life that way, or what do you see as something that you might be interested in?
But we have something that's in the works. It's a little bit bigger than just a food truck. I'm going to renovate a Metro City bus and turn it into a rolling restaurant.
A Metro City? That's a sizable bus.
Wow.
It's 70-some people.
Holy shit. And so what kind of restaurant would you have? And would it be like French or something like that? Or would it be like city food?
No, you would just figure stuff out and you'd have sort of a changing menu.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And drive folks around.
Man, that's awesome. What a great
Nobody's
idea.
ever done it. Nobody's done it in L.A. They've never done it in New York. They've never done it anywhere.
So, Mad Dog, what you're saying is, or what you're envisioning is, or what I'm envisioning is, this is like a food truck on steroids.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a metro bus, a city bus that you're going to convert into a restaurant.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can just roll into town, any town, and this is going to have a full-on kitchen, dish area, and seating.
No. I'm here in Huntsville, Alabama, and if you guys don't know it, this is going to be one of the biggest cities. It's the number 10 growth city in the entire U.S. right now. They're going to have 40,000 more people in like 2 to 3 years. So everything's growing out of control here.
Why?
Everybody comes here. It's Rocket City.
Yeah, Rocket City.
So,
yeah. Space camp, motherfucker.
I've been through that neck of the woods. My pastor's from Alabama.
So this idea about this rolling bus, I love this. You do it regionally in Alabama and then expand to somewhere else, or would this be truly a mobile restaurant?
The hotels are booked here. You could stay right here in Huntsville and just see what happens. But nobody's ever done it before, so who knows what will happen. But when you start thinking about brick and mortar, all the taxes are associated with that. I mean, I think you have some rolling stock. You can just do what you want to do.
Right.
You could do some high end dining in there. People got a lot of money, so your quest as a chef is to figure out how to pull $20 bills out of people's pocket without them knowing it.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, Pete and Mad Dog. So like one guy that I am a client with, if you will, or hired gun, if you want. He's got a company called Food Fire Knives, and he's here in Charleston. He's actually setting up shop in Charlotte next month. And you go to the website, and for lack of a better definition or description, it's like Uber for chefs.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're coming into Charlotte, or you're coming into Charleston, and you're renting an Airbnb, and you're with 6-8 people, your army buddies, your college buddies, whatever. You're with a group, and you're getting together, and you're in town, and you know what? One night you just want to hang out and smoke cigars and drink scotch off your beautiful deck overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, and you look up Food Fire Knives, and boom, you got this list of chefs, you got this list of cuisine, or they'll custom make anything you want. They'll come to the place, they'll cook the food, they'll serve you, and you're going to have a restaurant experience like that's second to none. It's going to be so personalized for your particular party, and I do a lot of that here. I tell you what, I do a lot of bachelorette parties because Charleston is a great city, and for some reason a lot of women love to come down here and do bachelorette parties. I do a lot of those.
Yeah, it seems like the era of having to have a large spread of restaurants like that's certainly still a thing, but you're right. You can have a lot more freedom by custom delivering a chef experience either via bus, via truck, or just via your home and do like my buddy Craig out in Kansas does, where he does a thing called Table Ocho. Basically, you can hire him out, either come to his place or he'll go to yours, and then he'll make you this wonderful, chef prepared meal right there with a wine that's paired, and it's just such a neat time to be able to do those kinds of things.
I'm gonna tell you something, Pete. My dad is a guy of very few words, and I'll never forget what he told me the day I went to boot camp. As I'm waiting for my government vehicle to come and take me to Cleveland to go to the AFI station, he said, "Hey," he said, "you picked a good profession. You'll have a job for the rest of your life. People gotta eat."
Yeah.
That was 1978, bro, and people are still eating.
Still eating. Mad Dog, what kind of advice did you get? Because look, you're like me. You got Wanderlust. You're a rambler. You do this. You do that. Yeah. Right now you do contracts, but you're also a world-class trained chef. So when you got the advice and you're like, yeah, this is really going to be my thing, what was that moment? Was it way back a long time ago, and you finally got around to it as an adult, or what's your story?
Well, let me go back to what Otto was saying about some of these famous chefs, and the guys that are famous don't consider themselves chefs. Jacques Pepin doesn't consider himself a chef. He says he's a cook at best. Guys like Thomas Keller, they just been at it their entire life. And Thomas Keller's reeling back going, we need to get back to the basics because we have all this machinery that's making us forget how to do the fundamentals of cooking. We've got to get back to doing that. So for me, I think the big thing is like jumping in the kitchen, just like not being afraid, just experiment with stuff and try things out and see what happens. So just like Otto was saying, if you want to perfect something, you got to do it over and over and over again. But in the end, when you're in the kitchen, dude, just take some fruits and vegetables and mess around, figure out these techniques and put some stuff together. In the end, I think a lot of times you get surprised by things, when I went over to a friend of mine's house and, they had never had a gastrique before. And you just go and you kind of make a caramel, and then you add some vinegar in there. And the next thing you know, you have something that tastes phenomenal that you've never had before. Now, high-end restaurants are doing that, but I think it's such an easy thing to do. I think the problem is these restaurants charge an enormous amount of money just for the technique. And so I think that, it should be brought to the common person on how to cook great food. The big thing with the internet is when you're making YouTube videos, you can reach millions of people. I found that out with this whole Colin Powell tire changing thing. You can reach 30 million people in a number of days. You can do it,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the Steve Harvey show 2 weeks ago. Millions more people that end up seeing your face. So, but you have to be the person that's getting the word out. Trying to teach folks how to do something productive when it comes to being in the kitchen. Show those techniques. That's what I think. The government hooked me up, paid for me to go to culinary school in New York, and it was phenomenal. So, why not give that back to the people?
Yeah, and if you guys go to YouTube and type in Chef Maddog Maggert, make Mad Dog one word, Chef Maddog Maggert, you'll see, and there's recipes going up on there, and he's doing more and more of them all the time. You guys got to support that. And, of course, Otto's book is out. These guys they're like you guys are saying, you guys are like us. You like to cook. You're the kind of chefs that you're not going to come out and shake your fist at someone. We have one of those in my hometown in Benicia. It's almost kind of like a joke. It's embarrassing, but it's kind of a joke where he'll come out and say, dog food, and yell, that kind of thing. You guys aren't like that. You guys actually want to be part of the eating experience and the life experience. And for all of us folks out there, and just thanks for taking that kind of an attitude, making yourselves accessible, because there is that air of chefs being something that's unapproachable, and you guys clearly are approachable. What?
I only have one leg. You can always approach me. I'm not very fast.
That's true. Oh my God! But the other leg, wait, which one's the good one? The replacement or the old leg? Because at this point in your life, you got to be like, the other one's kind of good.
Oh, I got another surgery coming up on the 22nd of May, man. They're going to chop more leg, take more nerves and stuff out. So I'm like never out of the woods, man. They're always doing stuff. They're always wanting me to try out new legs and stuff. So, it's just kind of the way that it goes. So unlike a chef who sticks with a knife for 40 years, you're not going to do that with a fake leg.
Yeah, fake leg. No, okay.
Right.
I always like to stack features together. Like, I think every business should have like a urinalysis testing facility, because like whoever wants to go to Quest Diagnostics, you're like, I'm gonna get myself some coffee and then pee in this cup and then out the door. You know, like, so maybe you can turn your leg into some kind of extra accessory as well, like put a blender or knife. How about a knife sharpener? That'd be great.
Yeah, I could do that. You want to do that? We made a peg leg out of a baseball bat, and so I can send you pictures of that. That thing is sweet. A knife sharpener, I can do that.
Right, and then just freak out the audience, like, or the customers. Take that chef knife.
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
Shing, shing.
You need Mad Dog scissor hands.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, that's
and the
fun.
good thing is, even if you slip, you can't cut it off because it's already missing. You know. So.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Right. That's hilarious. So, both of you guys like to travel around. Do you see you guys moving? I mean, Otto, you're always on the go. Cleveland, I think you were in Texas one of the times I checked in on you. You were always in California when we met. Are you going to continue to I mean, obviously your dad is not well and you're caring for him, but once you get to a point where you have some more freedom, do you want to go out and range out and do more things? I mean, Mad Dog, you were in Africa earlier in this show. So what do you guys see as far as, are you guys that don't want roots?
I love root vegetables. Yeah, they're fantastic. Who doesn't love roots, man? Carrots, tubers. Yeah, they're all roots, They take a long time to cook, but they're good.
What about you, Otto? How much do you
I love Alex Haley.
Yeah, let me ask you that. You have Alex Haley quotes. You also have biblical passages in your book. What made you pick those things, and then how did you come down to decide those were the passages that you wanted?
Wow, great question. Again, as a chef, that was the mentality going into making this book, to building this book, to creating this book. I wanted to give value to the reader.
This episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business, or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner
or at JohnLG69
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
I wanted to give value to the reader. So you start from each chapter, from the beginning of the chapter, right? Every chapter has a soundtrack that goes with it. It's like a wine and food pairing, right?
Yeah.
This chapter goes great with boom, okay? So that's how it starts out. Then you read the chapter. And then the original was to just do the biblical quote. And then I got to thinking, some people, might get offended. There may be some people who aren't believers. So I gotta flip the switch on this here. And so that's when I decided to use a contemporary quote as well and put both of them in there. And I had people tell me, how do it's one together? You can't do both. And that's why I say, don't tell me what I can do with my book. So that's why you got both quotes in there. And then the recipe, came in there too. So, but I love quotes. It sort of like is a finishing touch. It brings all that chapter together, and it makes the reader ponder about what they just read and what meaning they not only got from the story, from the quote, and from the Bible passage.
But the Bible is a big book, and there's a lot of passages in there. So you have a command of the Bible. How do you sort out? I mean, look, there's all kinds of different ways to say things, the same things from the Bible. How did you come to pick the verses that you picked?
That's a great question. At the end of the day, Pete, it just came down to what resonated with me. So if you and Mad Dog and myself were writing a book about freaking meatballs, okay, and the publisher said, hey, every chapter here you got to get a biblical passage about something. Well, meatballs was a bad title, but anyway. So we're writing a book about life, and the publisher is demanding we have a biblical quote, okay? And this chapter is about marriage. Yeah. And there's tons of topics about marriage in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Well, what resonates with you, what resonates with Mad Dog and me are three totally different, points of view. And at the end of the day, like, okay, that quote really hits me. It resonated with me. That's why I chose the quote. That was large and short of it.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it was fun researching all that stuff, Pete.
Oh, I bet.
It really was.
Alex Haley is a deep pull nowadays. You know, he was huge when Roots was going on and the whole miniseries was going on, and he was still with us. But now that he's not, you know, that comes from a certain stamp in time. What about Alex Haley stands out for you? Why does he make the book?
And again, Pete, let me clarify. It wasn't that he stood out to me. The fact was, I needed a quote for that particular chapter.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for quotes about grandmothers.
Right.
And I'm reading this quote, and he said, grandparents are sort of like, what was it, fairy godmothers or something? They sort of sprinkle fairy dust and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is freaking perfect.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that Alex Haley said it.
Mad Dog, videos.
Yes, sir. What's that?
You have the videos, they're coming out. What are you looking to up the pace of those things, or how frequently can we expect to see a video from you?
Yeah, so now that I'm getting everything established, just bought a house here, got an awesome kitchen. I never expected that I would have the kind of range that I've got in my kitchen, but it's going to be a sweet setup for cooking. And so my intent is to continue to get more video equipment and get out there on the streets. I want to go out to these small places where people are barbecuing and just having parties and stuff like that, and seeing how people do it, how families come together. Because I think that in our lives, we've gotten so busy that we're not slowing down, and people take time out of their life to have get-togethers and stuff like that. So what I want to do is to be able to film that portion of life going on. So being military, I've traveled to 63 different countries only so far. Food is the number one unifier around the world. It's the only thing that everybody does at least once a day, and they almost always do it with other people. And so food is that thing that brings people together. So it doesn't matter what your political beliefs are, your religious beliefs are, no matter what your beliefs are, people are going to eat, And so people are going to sit down and they're going to break bread. I mean, that's just the way that the world works. So it's like, how do you capture that? How do you capture those moments and then translate that to other people to say, man, just slow down in life, learn some of these techniques, learn how to cook, learn how to be part of that thing, invite your friends over, throw little parties and stuff where you have, just a few people where you're making some food, but it's that thing that will bring you together. So stop watching TV and get out and live. Now, I've lived more the past 2 years than I think that I have in my entire life, because I have a very conscientious focus on making sure that I'm not sedentary, that you just continue to keep moving, that you're always continually learning and growing. And I'm probably the only person that I know that goes to sleep with a cookbook, but dude, it's just always on my mind. That's all I think about is food. So I think maybe that's the only way I know how to translate it now, is to be able to continue to make videos and put stuff out.
What was that moment 2 years ago that made you decide? Was it your health with the leg, or is it something else, that accumulation? What made you decide to keep moving, keep getting better, keep interacting?
Well, I mean, I've had 35 different surgeries. So, I mean, no one surgery is more significant than another, but I'm kind of over it. I just sort of felt like, dude, now is the time to grow. So last June, I got out of the Army and retired. And so I'm going, now I don't necessarily have to work. I've got income and I'm doing but I always had that burning feeling of, dude, I've got to go to culinary school. I told my wife, before I flop, I've got to go to culinary school and learn this black magic. It's just like Otto will tell you, once you do go to culinary school, you just learn in the techniques and stuff. So then it's up to you on how you put those techniques together for whatever you're going to make. So, but in the end, I think that it was really rewarding. So I don't know if I had one unifying moment, unlike changing Colin Powell's tire. Here's my unifying 3 minutes, Yeah. So
it is an incredible moment, and you're like, so we have a lot of people that talk about these things because I think they are important messages. Get out, get moving, cook, that kind of thing. And this guy, he's a ski bum, right? That's his job. His name's Matt Mosteler, and he's like, go out in nature and let it awe you, let it fill you with wonder. You just can't get enough of that. And when you think about some of the best moments of your life, it's often a great meal with a great conversation, and everybody's just, they're at their best, and you're just filled with such happiness to be in that moment. It's great to be able to create those things.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, I had a moment in 2003 when the mission that we were doing, we didn't know that Iraqi freedom was going to happen, but it did happen on March 19th of 2003. And the nature of the mission that we were doing, we didn't have any food, and we only had MREs. And locals, where we were at on the mission that we were doing, said, we're going to start bringing food to you guys and feed you. And so these guys were feeding us out of their home. And I said, these are the same people that in the U.S., they were saying, these are the people that took down the World Trade Center. And I kind of realized that was further from the truth, man, that there was a few bad apples that were out there, but the majority of folks out there in the world are really good. And so when people go, we've got this conflict going on, and we're going to cook out of our homes to take care of you Americans, you go, man, this is what love really is all about, man. This is what brings people together. So it's I think you can have, you know, experiences and stuff in life that just really change you.
Otto, what you expand on that? Because obviously you've experienced that throughout your career, whether you're on a submarine or behind a chef's counter.
Yeah, hey, it's magic. What can I say? But like, even to the point where, you know, honestly, gentlemen, you know, one thing I've always wanted to do. I love words. I always had to write a book, but I love words, and something I've always toyed with was like, wouldn't it be cool to bring a word into the English language that gets put in the lexicon?
Yeah.
And so that word I created is actually in the book. I talk about that. To lead up to it, that, you know, I talk about how, and some people may disagree with me and others won't, but that's all well and good. That's the beautiful thing about America's freedom. But anyway, I say in the book that food is better than sex. And I don't care how good it is between the sheets. I don't care how good it is between the sheets, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Food arouses every single sense, and it can pick you up and transport you to another place in time. Okay? That's magical. Okay? That is something that happens, and that translates into a gastrogasm.
A gastrogasm.
A gastronomic orgasm. You heard it here first, folks.
Gastrogasm.
On the
Yeah,
Break It
I
Down
love
show. Gastrogasm. So yeah, it's something special. It's something that, and it's not only things chefs can do. Anybody can do it. Because let's face it, man. One of the greatest compliments I got was, I was involved at a graduation at the CIA, and this gal Fernandia, her parents were up from Mexico for the graduation, and I've been in Mexico countless times, and I love it down there. It's a fantastic nation and hardworking people who are employed by and large in all these restaurants across this country. And the parents were there, and I wanted to do something special. The graduation was in December around Christmas time. I made these cookies that my mother used to make at Christmas time. They're basically an oatmeal cookie shaped into a candy cane, and she frosted it with little, you know, powdered confectionery sugar with water and some green food coloring and red food coloring for the stripes for the candy cane, with peppermint extract. And I gave these cookies to the mother, to Fernandia's mother.
Wow. And
Fernandia said, you know, Chef Borsich, you know, my mother doesn't eat sweets. And even the mother told me that. I don't eat sweets, but I'll try this. Maybe she was wanting to be nice.
Yeah.
She starts biting the cookie, and she takes another bite and another bite and another bite. And like, the family is kind of astonished to watch their mother eat this cookie. And I'm not sure if it was dietary reasons or allergy or whatever, but she went back for another cookie.
What?
She went back for seconds on these cookies, right? And she's eating it. And Fernandia, she dug her hands into my bicep and it's in my ear saying, Jeff, my mother does not eat sweets. I'm like, wow, okay. So the grandmother then says to me, not the grandmother, the mother says to me, these cookies taste just like my grandmother's.
Wow.
I mean, that's like the ultimate compliment right there.
Yeah.
And I wasn't studied out to make the best cookie in the world and to receive that compliment. I made some cookies that my mother used to make when I was a kid at Christmas time. And to make those and pour every bit of passion into that cookie dough and shape them and paint them perfectly with the icing and then give them to that woman, you know, Fernandia's mother, and to have her say that, oh my God.
Hey, so I've got to ask all the questions. I want you guys to ask each other a question or two. So, Mad Dog, you've got Otto sitting across from you, a notable chef. What do you want to ask him?
Yeah, so how do you do it? If you're putting a book deal together, like how do you make that happen?
Well, I actually didn't put a book deal together, my brother. At the end of the day, and let's face it, the internet has turned the world upside down. Everything has changed with the invention of the internet, if you will. So there's basically two ways to get published. You either get a publishing deal or you self-publish. So my thought was, hey, this is my story. No one's going to write it better than me, and I don't want to lose the rights to this book. And I want to make the most money, or what little bit of money I'm going to make. I want that in my pocket, not the big five publishing houses. So I didn't even attempt to get a publishing deal. I knew I was going to self-publish from the get-go. So that's really how it happened. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Good stuff.
Otto, what question do you have for Mad Dog?
That's a great question. I would like to know what was the light bulb that went off in your head for this Metro bus food truck that you're going to do? That's a pretty wild idea. I love it.
Well, I started looking around, and I'm like, I see that like people have done stuff with school buses, but then I thought, they're too high, cumbersome to get on. And so I started looking like, what are some other options? And I was in New York looking out the window when I was in culinary school, and I said, check out this bus, man. It's so easy to get on and get off of. I said, dude, I got to put this idea together and start testing this stuff. So I would get drinks and stuff like that, and I would ride the bus and see if they would they would spill over and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like testing this thing, and it was just purely, hey, nobody's ever done this before. Let's jump out there and make it happen. So, and then, when I see these folks that are cooking, like 3 people, like can run awesome kitchens in a tiny little kitchen.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, it's totally possible to do. I can't believe that the Inn of Mary Washington is a 3 Michelin-starred restaurant now. And like, you bump butts when you're in the kitchen just trying to cook stuff. It's absolutely tiny, and they're a 3-star, place. So I said, it's totally possible to do. I've seen the fluctuation of people here in Huntsville. I said, dude, maybe this will be the spot, man. You just tour people around in different locations and stuff and see all these events that they got going on, and they can have an awesome meal. So
this is
why not do it?
So this is not going to be a food truck in terms of you're going to pull up to the fairgrounds or wherever and park and people. You're actually going to have guests in that bus and you're going to be driving around. Is that what I'm?
Yeah, we'll have chandeliers. It's going to be a fine dining experience. They're going to have quality food. So yeah, I don't want to be serving corn dogs, although I do like making gourmet corn dogs. But yeah, I want them to have an awesome rolling dining experience. I've never seen it before. Never heard of it.
That's a brilliant idea. There was a French chef. I think I may be mistaken, but I think it was Jacques Maxime. Anyway, this was back in the 80s, and he had purchased an old theater and renovated it and made a restaurant out of it. And the stage is where the kitchen was, and the stage had the huge velvet curtain. Okay, and at the end of the night when service was over, they curtain to expose the stars of the show. That's beautiful. This is kind of a novel idea. So that I'm intrigued with your bus idea. I think it's great. I mean, that's a really interesting concept you got there.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. So
yeah,
that's it. People got to eat, bro.
People got to eat.
They got to eat.
People got to eat.
I love it. I do think it's a great idea. Like you said, no one's done it. Is it a double-decker bus in your head, or is it just strictly a one-decker?
No, because that's too much climbing. If you go and you look up a Metro City bus, man, it's like they're only a few inches off the ground. It's easy on, easy off. And you want folks to dress up to come out and do this event, and drive them around to all these places and stuff. They have like this fine dining experience, and they're just like rolling down the road,
Mm-hmm.
And Mad Dog, let me ask the question. How much does a used Metro bus go for these days?
They're only like $40,000.
Oh shit, that's like the price of a food truck.
Yeah.
It's like a regular food truck. Yeah, exactly. But you could fit, like 50, 70 people on there.
Well, hey, now that we're in touch here, and we made the introduction through Pete and break it down, and we appreciate that. I'd love to get to Huntsville and do something over there with you.
Yeah, let's keep talking. Let's keep the conversation going.
I was just in Montgomery last month too. I should have made time to come out and visit. I screwed that up.
Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery.
Man, here in Huntsville, man, the FBI is moving down here. DEA is moving down here. Department of Homeland Security. Facebook is setting up a headquarters. Toyota is expanding. It's going to be maddening here. So these guys are doing festivals and stuff every weekend. Different events, man. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. But it's time for me to put some food in their bellies. They need some flavor they've never had before.
Now, is that Daphne or Dauphine Island? You know what I'm talking about?
What do you mean?
It down in the Mobile Bay area, there's a place that's called Dauphine, or is it?
Oh yeah. That's down in Mobile. That's down off the coast, man. I'm way up inland. I'm about 2 hours from Nashville.
Yeah, that's down in Mobile Bay, where I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up, you gentlemen heard, it's really cool, and I encourage you to go down there. It's just a very interesting spot to go check out. But you heard the expression "damn it, torpedoes"?
Yes.
That's where that came from. During the Civil War, the Confederates had blockaded the mouth of the harbor back then with those floating mines, those big round balls.
Yeah.
Those were also called torpedoes back then. And Admiral Farragut, a Union admiral, was gonna head north up into that bay, and that's when he gave the order, "Damn it, torpedoes, full speed ahead."
That's a good thing to be known for, especially if you make it.
Especially if you live to tell about it. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, listen, I don't want to take up all your guys' time because you're right. You need to get food in some people's bellies. You guys got to check out Otto's book, A Chef is Born. You can get it.
I'm going to buy the book. Is it on Amazon?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Maddog, if you want, just PM me on. Are you on Facebook?
Of course I'm on Facebook.
All right, so of course you
Under
are.
Chef Maddog Maggert.
All right, so I'll look you up, or you look me up, and just message me, and I'll give you instructions, and just so if you buy the book, send it to me direct from Amazon, and then give me your address, and I'll ship it back to you free of charge, of course, autographed.
That's awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah. A Chef is Born. You can get it on Amazon. And then Chef Maddog Maggert on all social media. Definitely check out his videos. And hopefully in a Metro bus in your city soon.
All right, Pete. Thanks for having me, brother.
Thanks, fellas.
Okay.
Taste the freedom.